face in a church where a wedding has been. Lives in a dream, waits at the window, wearing a face that she keeps in a jar by the door. Who is it for? All alone.
The great Beatles say in their song Eleanor Rigby, wearing a face that she keeps in a jar by the door. This sums up the idea so simply. When someone wears makeup, it can be like putting on a different identity. There's a personality and identity with the makeup and another without. The consumption of makeup is a complex one. According to an NPD report, makeup is the largest earner and is the fastest sales growing at $17 billion in the US beauty industry. The product ranges are vast and promise a multitude of improvements to consumers. Makeup corporations are actually selling self-confidence and identity, not lipsticks and eyeshadows. Given the complexity of makeup, by definition, and in practice, the consumption experience for consumers can also be a varied one. Some consumers revel in the research, hours spent online watching YouTube beauty hauls, reading Sephora reviews. Meanwhile, others stand bewildered in store, with one mascara promising lashes 1,000 times the length, and another claiming to grow your natural lashes with often not so glamorous results. We endeavor, with this short documentary-style video, to consider both ends of the spectrum, from the perspective of two different consumers who tell us how and why they consume makeup. Consumer 1 is exhibiting a wide range of influences for her makeup consumption, including external, internal, and situational influences. She places her value on a purchase given its social risk in particular. For this reason, the consumer undertakes extensive information search, which in turn influences why and how she consumes makeup.
I am consciously aware of some of the reasons I buy makeup, but others I only really thought of during this interview. I buy a lot of makeup. I'd probably buy at least one product a week. I usually consume in stores because I like to try things out. It's important to see a color or shade in real life and on your own skin tone, but sometimes I will order online if you can't get it in New Zealand stores or it's limited edition like Kylie Jenner's line. Externally, our peers in the media both directly and indirectly contribute to the consumption of makeup products. The media produces endless imagery of perfect people, which is subliminally influencing us to want to strive to meet this Photoshop perfection. The dawn of social media, particularly Instagram and YouTube, appear to be more peer-based influences. We follow Instagram for inspiration and recommendation. YouTube is similar, where ever-changing makeup trends transfer into the rapid growth rate in makeup sales.
This consumer sheds light on a completely different way makeup is consumed, but yet still, for the end desired state, it is to look better. In this instance, makeup can be described as a routine problem in marketing terms, which means it is something that is used on an almost daily basis, and once it runs out, it is replaced. This means it is something that is used on an almost daily basis, and once it runs out, it needs to be replaced. Consumers like her exhibit high brand loyalty and do not undertake extensive information search. Interestingly, this consumer also suggests a unique type of planned obsolescence that has been cultivated by the makeup industry, meaning that your mascara needs to be replaced every 3 to 6 months, even if the bottle is not empty.
I purchased the bare minimum of makeup, which is kind of funny because the bare minimum means a completely different thing to someone who is really into makeup and someone who's like me. I have one mascara that I replace every 3 to 6 months because that's just common knowledge. I have one foundation color, but I have friends who have one color for winter season and one color for summer. I wear makeup to enhance some of my features, but it's all pretty overwhelming. I don't keep up with the trends such as contouring or that weird eyebrow trend. But I wear the makeup that I do because it makes me feel better about myself. Like I'm more put together, and that gives me confidence at work and in my personal life. I probably wouldn't wear makeup if it was socially acceptable not to. It costs a lot of time and money. But other women do, so I have to keep up, so to speak. When I do buy makeup, I don't do any research usually. I have a couple of brands that I have usually used thanks to my mom. I know they work for me, so I stick with them. Sometimes I'll get a free sample and that might change my mind, or I read the packaging there but there's always a lot of information. My go-to brands are also all available at supermarkets and pharmacies. They're also available at bigger department stores now, so they're easy to replace when I'm buying my groceries, which is ideal.
The consumption of makeup has many implications, mostly negative in nature and significantly skewed towards women. A recent Harvard study found that women who wear substantial makeup at work were perceived as more competent, likable, and trustworthy by their colleagues. This displays the societal implications and how deep-rooted makeup is within our culture. The perception of makeup can be tied with the idea of power and status, and those who don't wear it can be deemed as caring less or less competent in the workplace. There is an immediate judgment based on if and how makeup is worn. There's also a desire to have a natural look, and companies often advertise their products as providing this, but still adjusting those imperfections. Feminine beauty can be practiced a particular way for so long that not wearing makeup can seem like such a scary idea. Wearing makeup to enhance one's appearance is normal in our society, and often a rite of passage for young women. There is concern, however, when makeup no longer becomes a tool for enhancement, but rather a security blanket that conceals negative feelings about one's self-image and self-esteem. Similarly, employers have been outed in media for requiring women to wear makeup as part of an established dress code. While many now speak out against this double standard, businesses are within their legal right to impose such restrictions on female employees while not burdening male employees in the same way. Some men do wish to wear makeup, but are in some ways excluded from this consumption experience and don't face the same prejudices. Makeup, as a general rule, is designed and marketed to women. Mitigating the gender skew offers a sustainable future for the makeup industry, perhaps. In the absence of the sexism that drives the consumption practice, perhaps the future of makeup caters to all and is not also associated with imbalanced social expectations. Alicia Keys recently attended an event completely barefaced. While it shouldn't seem controversial, it was.
You don't wear it so well. Did I say that right? You look absolutely gorgeous. How does it feel, though, inside?
Really empowering, actually, really freeing. And, I think the thing is, it kind of came from because we put so many limitations on ourselves. I think we put limitations on each other. Society puts limitations on.
There seems to be a revolution of body image underway, which is great news for feminists, but not such great news for the makeup companies. They will have to reposition their marketing away from profiting from people's insecurities. In terms of the environment, the dozens of bottles and tubs lining bathroom shelves are made of increasingly scarce resources, and despite our best intentions, many of them are destined for landfills. Companies, such as Elate Cosmetics, are reconciling green consumers' need to buy environmentally sustainable products, but also meet the pressures of society in 2017. Animal testing is a huge problem for the makeup industry, but there has been a significant social shift towards awareness of the supply chain, and makeup consumers have grown concerned about using products that test on animals, and thus giving a backlash for those companies that still do this. While the Body Shop and the makeup brand e.l.f. were now well known for their vegan products, larger corporations have now followed suit, and positioning your products as not tested on animals has become a minimum standard for a lot of consumers.
The makeup consumption experience also differs from store to store. Some stores you go in to choose your own product, look around, and be one with yourself without help. Other stores you have salespeople trying to sell you the best of the products, the newer products, and the things that they're going to get incentives for. The average consumer that perhaps doesn't know much about makeup will get fooled into these traps that the salespeople put into them. They'll try these beautiful products on their skin, products that will promise beauty and flawlessness, while the salesman is actually just trying to sell the product so that they can get their own incentives from it. We touched on some of the implications earlier, But we also want to emphasize the concept of animal testing. Brands around the world have started to use animal testing, or lack thereof, as a use for marketing. Companies that still sell in China cannot legally say that they are cruelty-free, as the brand in any other part of the world may not test in animals. If they sell in China, the Chinese government requires brands to have tested some of the ingredients on animals as part of their law. This has started a huge backlash for a lot of brands, with brands like MAC Cosmetics, NARS or Narcissist, and some brands under the Estee Lauder and L'Oreal headings have come under huge fire from social media, with animal rights liberals and even just the average consumer that wants a little bit more guilt-free in their life battering down the hatches and refusing to buy anything from those brands until they change their ways of selling. According to HSI.org, they estimate that approximately 100,000 to 200,000 animals suffer and die just for cosmetics every year around the world. Most of these animals include rabbits, guinea pigs, hamsters, rats, and mice. Most of the time, dogs and monkeys aren't used to test cosmetics, but they are used to test other types of chemicals. Animal tests for cosmetics usually include irritation tests, which includes skin and eye irritation tests, where chemicals are rubbed onto the shaved skin or dripped into the eyes of rabbits or some of the other animals that I mentioned earlier. Some of this includes repeated oral force feeding to see if there are any reactions later on in the course, so that usually takes up to 1 or 2 weeks. Often there are things called swallow tests, and these are where the animal will swallow a huge amount of the chemicals used in the products to see if there would be a reaction or a fatality caused. Once the animal is used for the testing, often it is disregarded, and that is the demise of the animal, which is why so many animals are killed just for these cosmetics. We have chosen this consumption experience given the multi-faced nature of the consumption of makeup. While the actual product takes the forms of lipsticks and mascara, the core product is in fact beauty, or the promise of an enhanced/improved appearance. Makeup companies deal not in products, but in beauty, and use an extensive product range as a mechanism to trade it. When you walk into a store, all that you see is photos of these beautiful women looking back at you, promises to change the way you look, promises to change the things that you were born with, that society found were imperfections. The consumption experience of makeup is a fascinating one in that the product range for comparison is huge. There is extremely high social risk, and the extensive marketing techniques employed by companies to position their product make the entire experience quite an overwhelming one for some. The consumption of makeup in 2017 can actually take so many forms. We just showed how consumers engage in this experience and behaviour, and 2 different types of consumers and how they may shop and how they consume. While department stores like the likes of Farmers and Ballantyne's maintain large beauty departments, enormous stores for makeup have just also entered the market. MAC, Sephora and Mecca Maxima are some of the largest players in the makeup storefront game. The internet also plays a significant role, as we showed you, in the consumption experience. YouTube has a seemingly infinite pool of wisdom where millions of beauty bloggers walk you through their beauty hauls and over extensive reviews on products. We thank you so much for your time and for watching our Marketing 204 video. The people in this group were Ethan Waganow, Hannah Rose Watt, Libby Reese, Raquel Alexis and Tatum Roth. Thank you so much.